Welcome to another edition of Horses to Follow for KwaZulu-Natal. And my bushy-haired friend Andrew Harrison's deserted us today, and I'm going to take it up with him because I'm not happy with it, to be quite frank with you. So that's for another debate. But Corinne Bestel is with me. It might be one day out of Ladies' Month. We're on the 2nd of September
Can
today.
you believe it?
2nd of September, day after Spring Day. And we'll just extend Ladies' Month a few days more so that we can enjoy Corinne's company. And Trainer, happy to call you senior or veteran trainer. You've been around a long time.
You're absolutely right, Warren. 27 years I've been training. So, yeah, I suppose I could be called a veteran.
I called Stuart Randolph the other day a senior jockey, and he enjoyed it. But my colleague said, you can't call him a senior jockey. He's going to get offended. I said, but he is a senior jockey in the jockey room. He's been around a long time and a very good rider. But Corinne Bestel is our guest today, and it's a great pleasure to sit and spend some time with her. We're on the veranda here at the Summerveld clubhouse, glorious clubhouse. Corinne, as I ask everybody, whoever's our guest, we want to know how it all started for you. How did racing start? When did the bug bite? Tell us your story right from the beginning.
Well, Warren, you know, my mom was one of the first lady trainers in Natal. And so I think it was in my blood from the day, I think in the womb. Hey? And it was something I always wanted to do, much to my mom's dismay. Because, you know, being a lady in this industry is not easy. But, I always wanted to be working with horses. And so Mom eventually relented. She said, okay, you must go and do something, which I did. I actually went to Technicon and did a couple of years course on beauty. It was actually a beauty technology course. Okay. And then Mom said, you can decide afterwards what you want to do. And I went overseas, spent a couple of months over there. But my mind hadn't changed when I got back. And it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, once it's in you, you can do what you like. Absolutely. And so, I had a wonderful teacher in my mom. I was with her for about 6 years. Okay. And then I took over from Mom in 1994. So I took out my license on the 1st of August of 1994. And I was very, very lucky too, because I took over a couple of Mom's horses that she had with George Rolls, the late George Rolls, who was a great supporter of my mom, amongst other owners. And I think it was inevitable, as I say, much to my mother's dismay.
As we stand now, no regret at all.
No, because you know what, Warren, I've always said it, being a horse trainer, it's not a job, it's a way of life. And it's something that you have to enjoy it.
Yes.
Because there's early, you're never off duty really. Even when you're away from the yard, you're thinking of your horses and what's going on. And look, I've never really had a very big string. Probably the largest string I've had is probably about 30 horses. But still, I think we've got 30 or 40 or 50 or 100, the dedication is the same, and the time spent is the same. And so it has to be a way of life. It's got to be something that you love.
And as you say, if you go home for a rest in the afternoon or over lunch, and you've got to be on call. In the evening, if there's something, you've got to be in the car to the yard. So
100%, especially when you're dealing with animals.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Arlene Bestel, your mom, who you've touched on, Andrew, who's not here, as I said, he's in my bad books at the moment, but that's just a bit of fun. He said, I must ask you about a horse called Saber, George Rolls owned, world record over 1,800 meters. Tell us a bit more about Saber.
Yeah, he was an amazing horse. I mean, I think he won the Clairwood Winter 2 a couple of times, but he does still hold the world record over 1,800 meters on the turf. It still stands today. He was an amazing horse, bred by George Rolls. I think my mom leased him from George. Okay. And he was a top horse. And he was an amazing, and he was not well bred, funnily enough. Okay. I think he was a Montclair out of a Sarigam mare, which wasn't great. And I remember my mom liked him very much at the sales. And George wasn't able to sell him. And so she approached George and said, look, would you... She says it's so sad in hindsight, if she had 2,000 rand at the time to have bought him, she would have, Anyway, as it so happens, he said, yes, he'd lease her to Mum and my dad, because they had colours. They had partnership colours. And at the time, my mother was an owner trainer. And the rest is history. He was just an amazing horse. And I mean, he went down to the Cape. He won the Somerset Stakes. I mean, he travelled to Joburg. He won the Keith Hepburn Stakes. I mean, there were, I can't even remember most of the races, but he was a top horse. Yeah.
Okay, that's Saber. That's very interesting.
Horse, yeah.
You went to Technikon, as you
Yes.
say, to do. But before that, where did you matriculate? Tell us a little bit about your schooling.
I went to Holy Family Convent at the top of Francois Road, and so I matriculated there in 1982. And I, at the time, as I said, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in horses.
Yes.
There were a few options for me. I was thought of maybe being a teacher, maybe becoming a qualified teacher. I loved history, and I thought teaching history would be good. But then I changed my mind, and the horses were always the back of my mind. So eventually, as I said, I decided to do a 2 or 3 year, I can't remember now, I think it was a 3-year course at Technikon, doing beauty technology, which I could always fall back on one day. But that never happened.
Well, thank goodness it never happened, because then we wouldn't have you in the training ranks. But good Mauritian family, good Catholic family.
Yes.
So like us, good old Mauritians, and that's fantastic. Now, another part of your life that many might not know, your dogs play such a huge part, a huge role in your life. Tell us about your lovely dogs.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm mad about my dogs. I'm mad about animals just generally. But yes, they're like my children. They are my 4-legged children. And I do a lot of agility with my one collie. And they go everywhere with me. Wherever I am, they are.
Okay.
So they're a huge part of my life. They love coming to the yard and wandering around the stables and come to the track with me. So yes, they love it.
Maybe a silly question, but which is easier to train, a dog or a horse?
No, I think a dog is a lot easier to train than a horse. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Your patrons, and we could sit here and talk for 3 hours about them, and I just want to mention a couple of names, and it's not about name dropping,
yes.
but Peter and Jenny Blythe, Clifton Stud. Every time we go there, we have far too much red wine, but it's wonderful.
Nothing changes there.
Nothing changes. Eric Burr, gentleman of the game. Hollywood have recently joined you, and Georgina Buchanan. And you tell us more about your patrons, because they're not patrons, they're family.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had a lot of my patrons. I've when I started training, were still with me. Peter and Jenny Blau, we met, funnily enough, just after Classic. Is it Classic Challenge? What was it? No, what was that good horse of theirs?
Classic Flag?
Classic Flag. I met them just after Classic Flag had won the July, and they had a wonderful filly that I ended up training called Olympic Flag, and she didn't have the best of front legs, and that's how we actually started our association.
Okay.
And he liked the idea that I was training at Clairwood at the time, and it was known for its lovely kind tracks. And I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but I had the reputation of being quite good with horses that had sort of
dicky legs.
Dicky legs, that's for sure. So I don't know if it was a curse or
a good thing. Yeah,
or a good thing. Anyway, that's how we started our association, and she was such a good a filly. She won a couple of listed races for me. She won a graded race for me. It was quite sad. We took her down to the Cape, and it was the year of Laissez-Faire. So she bumped Laissez-Faire in the Scepter Stakes, where she ran second to her.
Sure.
So she was a really, really wonderful, wonderful filly. And sadly, we never ever got to see any of her progeny, because sadly she died of colic in fall to western winter. And we always think of how good that baby may have been.
Yeah.
But so that was my association. Started with Peter through Olympic Flag, and then of course Eric Boer's been absolutely amazing. I mean, he's also been with me for many, many years, an absolute stalwart in the game. He's been a great supporter of mine. Georgie Buchanan, well, what can we say about Georgie?
What can we say about Georgie?
Absolutely passionate. Judy Patterson.
That was the other lady. Her name escaped me.
Yes,
Judy.
Wonderful. We laugh. We've got a group called the Famous Four, which is Judy, myself, Georgie, and Anne Liggins, also a wonderful lady who has supported me. She was originally, she wasn't Anne Watson, but she's had horses with me for also many years.
That was the white colour stripe.
That's
white,
it.
red.
You're right. It was the pink, turquoise, and white stripe. They bred with. They had mares with Craig Ramsey for many years, and she had old Cragganmore that won quite a few. That was Annie and Charles's homebred, which did very well. So and they're still with me after all these years, and those owners are like hen's teeth today, aren't they?
It's so true. And Hollywood have
Hollywood very grateful.
Yes,
they've supported me, which is wonderful, and. So, and you need the support of owners today, and it has become a lot more difficult.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's a question that I'm going to ask, but you probably can't answer, because I can't answer and many can't answer. But, how does a trainer, and the show is not about me, but, at this recent 2-year-old sale now, we managed to lease a horse, and I've put a few mates together, but wow, did I battle. And the problem is that only 50% of the horses placed, and I battled. The other 50 still hanging in the stand. But the question I need to ask is, why is it, and in your opinion, what is it that is so difficult to get owners in, to support the trainers? I mean, I know that, here you're telling us your story about these great horses that you've trained and you've been around for so long, and you can do the job, but you need the tools. And what can we do, or what can trainers do to try and get new owners or get owners to support?
It's
a hard question, I know.
It is a hard question, and I to be honest with you, I don't know how to answer it, but I think, it's... Racing is a tough game, and I think it's quite a long-term game, and you need to have resilience as an owner.
Yes.
And it's not like you buy something and then 3 months later you can see it perform or whatever. It's hard to explain, but you need the patience and the time, the resilience, and what I think is also had a huge bearing on trying to get new owners into the industry, is that you've also, not only because of the time factor, time is money.
Yes.
And so, and also we know that things have been rough with COVID, and but I think we were in a bit of trouble even before COVID.
Yeah.
And what's happened, there's also been a huge gap in terms of earning stakes and what you'll keep.
Yes, and the cost of keep, it is what it is. You
it
can't
is what it
on
is.
That.
Well, I can't. I don't believe you can.
No.
And so I think there's a huge discrepancy in terms of keeping a horse in training, and what you're actually getting in return. And then it's a long-term process.
Sure.
And they're animals. They get injured. They have setbacks. They cough. And and so. You do have setbacks along the way, and I think that also puts a lot of people off. Unless you are resilient and you've got that disposable income, which sadly today people don't have anymore, Warren, and I think that is a problem.
What my little 5 cents worth, is what I've often said in meetings and things, in which I think is people are doing, and they're trying their best, is through social media and things, is trying to at least bring the sport to the people, to let them know about it. Because I've chatted to so many people, and they say, "What do you do?" I said, "No, I work in the horse racing industry." "Oh, what's that all about?" And you explain, and you say, "Well, come along." Okay, I know there's no Friday nights now while COVID's on, but you say, "Come on a Friday night, let's come and see. There's a band, and come and enjoy racing." And a couple of people that I've mentioned that to have said, "Gosh, this is actually quite fun." And I think the more that we can try and do that and get that little bug to bite,
we do need a lot more younger people in the industry. There's no two ways about that. And obviously forming syndicates, but it's not easy forming syndicates, or even forming partnerships, even to I remember when we started off with Peter Bly, and we had a lovely system whereby we would go to the farm and we would pick 10 horses that Peter was willing to. If they had little
something offset.
Yes,
whatever,
exactly. Yes. And maybe not so well bred, or there was always some sort of problem with one or two of them. But what we did, we managed to get 10 people, with 10 horses. And each one took a 10%. So essentially you were feeding one horse. And in those days, you could do it. And it was a lovely idea. Yeah. And so the good ones used to feed the bad ones. And then if they weren't too good, you would move them on and maybe replace it with another one. And it worked so well.
Yeah, it is.
But today you can't find 10 people, Warren, to even feed a horse today. It's just so tough.
It is. Yeah. I was going to ask you, one of you maybe getting people into the game and getting people into the yard is obviously a challenge. It's a challenge for all of us. It's a challenge for me too. But any other big challenges that really you face besides sort of?
To me that is the biggest challenge, is trying to find new owners in the industry. Yeah. Horses, you can find them. Horses are a dime a dozen.
Absolutely.
I mean, horses, you can find them. Obviously, you've got to try and find the right one. But it's getting owners to feed them, and that's the tough part.
That's the tough part. Now, of course, you are trainers, and you often chat to various trainers, and they're happy to keep a leg in a horse or keep a share to bring the owners in and help. But at the end of the day, you ladies and gentlemen are trainers. You're not, you'd love to own, you're happy to own, but you have to train.
Absolutely.
That's the service you're providing.
Yes.
So let's move on to your life partner, if you're happy to. Is that Hilton Witz, who's a gentleman that many know, and you've been with him. He loves his racing.
No,
he's passionate.
Very much so.
He tells it as it is.
Very much.
Tell us about him. How did you meet? How did you come across Hilton?
We met many moons ago through a mutual friend.
Okay.
And we've been together for many years, as you know. And he just loves his racing. And
he's a good form studier.
He knows his form. He can read a race very well. And he's my biggest supporter. He knows how tough it is, but he has, he's been my biggest supporter. Gives me some good advice.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Sorry to interrupt you. And obviously, you bounce ideas off one another.
Absolutely. If we've got because he knows his form lines so well, and I always say, is this the right race, and what do you think? And so, he gives me a lot of good advice in that respect, because he knows his form lines very well.
Yes.
And he's been been a great supporter of mine all these years.
He's certainly a man that you can see. There's no. Sometimes people get, criticized because they are so passionate and they say it as it is.
Yeah.
And
he certainly doesn't put any cap or cloak on anything.
But that's it. That's him,
That's
but
who
at
he
the
is,
end of the day, racing is firmly entrenched in his heart.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's all that matters to most. That's what matters to me anyway.
Yes.
So okay, so the two of you have been together for many years. Many years,
I think over 25 years now.
Okay, well, fantastic. No, that's fantastic, and we value his contribution to horse racing. Please believe me, we need every punter and every racing lover that we can get.
Yes.
Good horses in the past that you've trained now. We touched on your one or two.
Olympic flag, and then my first group winner was a horse called Azuaga.
Okay.
That I had with a guy called.
Don't worry about that.
Sorry, can we just
formal show?
Sorry. Let's just. Sorry about this.
No problem.
I think they're looking for a jockey, but let me just switch this off. Sorry. Apologies.
No problem. It's an informal chat show.
Sorry, I should have actually switched that off. So my first group winner was the Rupert Ellis. In those days, it was obviously at Clairwood, and it was up the straight. It was a horse called Azuaga, for a gentleman called Barry Beaton, who was a lovely man, and Lloyd Speniff. And he was a good horse. He ended up winning about 5 or 6 races, and I always laugh about, every time I think of Azuaga, I just think of Lloyd Speniff. He was so funny. He gave me my first cell phone, and I always laugh about it when I won that race for him. And it was like a brick. But I was so proud of this Nokia brick. And I remember that cell phone, and every time I think of Azuaga, I think of that brick of a cell phone that he gave me. But he won. He was a top horse. And funny enough, Mark Kahn won. He won on him for me, and in those days he used to come and ride a bit of work for me, and he was a very good horse, very good horse. He was, as I say, my first group winner. Yeah.
Corinne, it's lovely to hear when you're at the races, and Corinne Bestel, I can list them: Alison Wright, Duncan Howells, Warren Lenferner, Corinne Bestel. shouters. I haven't seen shouters and screamers at the races like that, and I think it's brilliant. And I'll never forget, many years ago, I was still in the hotel trade. I hadn't started working in horse racing, and I had a runner, and of course it was a tight finish, and I was bellowing my lungs. I was smoking in those days. I just about coughed and choked to death. I was screaming so much. And somebody came up to me and had a full go and said, you can't shout and scream like this. And I said to the person, do me a favor, where is there a signboard here that says you can't shout your horse home?
I can't believe
I said, when you go to the rugby in South Africa scoring a try, do you shout and scream?
Yeah.
They said, oh, yes, I do. I said, then you leave me to shout. And the point I'm making is the day I stop, and I know you'll say the same, the day you stop screaming them home, you might as well give up.
Absolutely.
But you can shout them home.
I'm a bit notorious for that. I always laugh because the staffs always say, we always know when there's a Bestel horse in contention because we can hear you.
That's brilliant.
So, I always say to myself, no, Corinne, this time just, if you're in the firing line, just control yourself. Doesn't happen.
Alison tells me the same thing. Kevin always says, just settle down a little. And she says she tries, but it doesn't happen. I'm the same. I can't. Yesterday I had 100 rand on a horse. Just 100 rand I had as an interest. I bellowed at home. You've got to. It's got to.
I know. It's part of it.
And all the ladies and the owners too, they're on this grandstand with you.
I know. They are notorious. We are notorious for that.
Okay. Your career, all right. So now let's fast. You've spoken about the early days, but along the way, did you say you worked for other trainers, or you mainly your mom? Mainly your mom.
I did. Yeah, I did a stint with my mom, as I mentioned, and then took my license out in 1994, and that's been me on my own. Yeah.
Good success you had at Clairwood. You started at Clairwood.
I did indeed.
And then we moved up to Summerveld. But talk a bit about that. You've trained plenty winners at Clairwood. You've trained winners at Summerveld. But Clairwood is always have a good place in your heart.
Well, I trained for 20 years at Clairwood, so I was it was home. It was home. Absolutely, it was home, and tracks were marvelous, and very, very horse friendly. Horses were happy there. We miss it. Hey, we really do. But not only the training tracks, Warren, we also miss the race course. I think that, of course, and if anything, I think that's the biggest loss. I have adapted to Summerveld training tracks, which you have to. But I think the biggest loss was the race course, and I think we still feel it today. I think we do miss that Clairwood race course.
Talking of the tracks at Summerveld, which you've adapted to, because we can see that you've had your winners from Summerveld and all the rest of it. You stay close. I do indeed.
Yes, I'm Gillets, so I'm 10 minutes away. So it actually suits me, very well.
You never rode in any ladies' races?
No.
Just No, like to be on the ground.
Yeah, I'd prefer to be on the ground. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going through our list here because we could go on and on and on. Well, you mentioned that you've adjusted to Summerveld and the tracks, and now let's talk about the present and the future. Corinne Bestel, you're still around as long as you've got a handful of horses to train and love and look after you here. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, look, Warren, it's, as I said, it's a way of life. And so as long as I've got a few horses in the yard, I'll be getting up in the mornings, and it's tough, but we've been so fortunate, and I've been very, very lucky. As I said, I've got the support of my owners, Eric, as I say, Georgie,
Hilton, of course, as
well.
Yes,
absolutely. 100%. And so as long as I've got owners supporting me, and I've still got, to say, horses in the yard, I'll be getting up in the morning.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And Corinne, if somebody wanted to get hold of you, do you have an email address? And maybe there's somebody that one never knows.
Yeah, I do. My email address is pretty easy. It's bestelracing@mweb.co.za.
Okay. Bestel, maybe Tawanda can put a strap up for us on them. Bestel Racing
at mweb.co.za.
Okay.
And they can always contact me on my cell phone as well, which is 083-306-8942.
Lovely.
But as I say, I love it, and it's lots more downs than there are ups, but
yes, unfortunately,
but as I say, it's a way of life, and it's working with those these wonderful creatures every day. It's a privilege and a blessing, really. I've been it has been difficult, but when I look back, I've really enjoyed it so much.
You're right. There are downs, but the
ups are amazing.
Amazing, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just and I've just been blessed with a lot of good horses over the years, and I've been really, really fortunate.
And the most exciting part is you never know when the next good one's around the corner.
100%.
Look at that horse of your mom's, Saber.
100%.
You never know. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
Again, the podcast is not about me, but we were blessed the other day. It just shows you how there's no rule, and we were talking about COVID, and there's no rules. I mean, I was sitting at the dinner table a year ago with a friend of mine, and he said, "Gosh, I'm trying to get hold of Skalkie van der Scale from Gelakfontein Farm." Skalkie, I forget his surname.
Yes.
And there was a horse that went unsold on the online sale. I said, "Oh, we know Candice knows Skalkie. We'll give him a ring." The dinner table, we gave him a ring. We said, "Can we have a look at this horse? Can we lease it from you?" Never looked at the horse, never seen it. All I knew it was by Admiral Kitten.
Oh.
Put it on the float. It came up. It came off the farm woolly, and how they should come off the farm.
Yes, absolutely.
And
then they just blossom.
Absolutely. And then at the second time of asking, she romped home the other day. You never know what you're going to get. You just never know what you're going to get.
There's that old saying, well, we as trainers say, as long as you've got an unraced horse in your yard, there's always hope.
Yeah. It's a great saying.
Because, you just don't know what's there. And, yes, they may not show you much at home, perhaps, but sometimes they just put it all together on race day.
Last question before we wrap up. Do you prefer, yes, you see some of them that work the house down at home and then come to the races and don't perform, and then you get the opposite. Which do you prefer? Do you want to see them?
Yeah, look, it's nice to see some good work that gives you a little bit of hope.
Yes.
But, I've learnt over the many years I've trained, it doesn't mean everything.
Yes.
I mean, I've also had horses that have been very bad track horses and have ended up being very good race horses. Yeah. But yes, I suppose you want to see a little bit of
spunk, a bit of something.
Yes, a little bit of something when you start to pace them up. Oh yeah, definitely.
Corinne, all that's left for me to do is to thank you for your time and thank you for all the years' service of your life that you've given into racing. And I said to some of the owners when I interviewed them yesterday, thank you to them for their contribution, because each and every one of us play some role.
Absolutely.
And thank you for your 27 odd years service to the industry and for keeping on going and the flame burning, and we just wish you all the very best. And you never know, let's hope somebody knows about Corinne Bestel, because we've shared your story with everybody. And to you and Hilton, just all the very best, and thanks for your time.
Warren, thank you so much for those kind words, and I really appreciate you having me here today.
Lovely, fantastic. As I said, Women's Month has just ended, but I've spoken to the government. They allowed us to go 2 days over into September. But all the best to you, and thanks, Corinne. Lovely.
Thank you so much appreciated.
Well, there we go. That was the story about Corinne Bestel, lady trainer Corinne Bestel, and just how wonderful it is to hear the story of Corinne and how it all started from her, and when she worked with her mom for so many years and then went out training on her own. She started off at Clairwood and relocated to Summerveld, and just a wonderful, wonderful story, and such long-standing patrons that Corinne has had. And of course her life partner Hilton Witz, who is a passionate supporter of horse racing. Just a wonderful, wonderful time spent with Corinne, and we thank her for her time, and we wish her all the very best for the future. Well, for the rest of the show, there's still a news segment, and I'm just going to give you a couple of horses to look out for that are going to be running at Hollywood Bets Scottsville on Sunday the 5th of September. News. But before we go any further than the news, we need to talk about our sponsors, and we like to, as always, thank MGT Solar. And I want to share with you exactly again what MGT Solar is. They're a renewable energy company that owns a cryptocurrency, which is bedded in an immutable blockchain to raise funding to build solar plants. And in order to do this, they need the funding, and of course they build these solar plants that satisfy the ever-increasing demand for clean, green energy. So thanks very much to MGT Solar. Alistair Comfort, Eddie Nielsen. Eddie Nielsen, I wanted to touch base with him, but he's away on business overseas. And when he's back, and we'll try and get Alistair as well on the show with Eddie, and just to touch base with him. But thanks to MGT Solar, our sponsors. News. Let's talk about the news. I believe there's some Super 6 racing taking place here at Summerveld this weekend. Let me just get the advertisement here that Tawanda Taravinga put out on the group, and I can read it to you and tell you a bit about that, because it might well be a nice time to come out and visit Summerveld. There we go. Join us for a fun day in the country with the family. Super 6 Racing, Saturday the 4th of September, 2 to 4 p.m. Summerveld Restaurant Lawn, that's exactly where we are here. COVID-19 protocols will be adhered to, and there'll be a live DJ. Dress code is smart casual, complimentary snacks and drinks, jumping castle for the kids. Plenty of racing action here. Super 6 Racing at Summerveld Training Centre. Come up on Saturday afternoon and join us. Luke Ferraris is in Hong Kong, and I believe that he has his first ride in the next couple of days. I'm not sure exactly which day it is, so hence me saying over the next couple of days. I think it's on Saturday or Friday or Monday. It's in the next few days. Luke Ferraris will be making his debut in Hong Kong, and we wish him all the very best. Talking about Hong Kong, David Ferraris, we spoke about Luke, we talk about David now. Captain Fontaine, 4 out of 4. Impressive winner at Hollywood Bets Gravel yesterday, Hong Kong bound, and he looks to be the real deal. Trainer Billy Prestige passed away in the Cape during the past week, and our condolences go out to his family and to his friends and to his loved ones. A true man of the turf and a top quality trainer, Bill Prestige. When I do get to see Andrew Harrison, and I do get to sit down and have a meeting with our producer, Tawanda Taravinga, I want to talk about reintroducing or introducing a possible breeding segment into this show. And, you know, we KwaZulu-Natal boys and we KwaZulu-Natal people, and we've got so many good stud farms around the country. But in KwaZulu-Natal particularly, there's so many good stud farms that continue to produce results. And we've got so many wonderful stallions in the form of, well, I'm going to try and name a few. I'm never going to remember them all, but they're all good stallions. And, you know, there's Active War, Willow Magic, Rabada. There's quite a few stallions in the country and in KwaZulu-Natal. But one in particular, I was passed on some statistics about Willow Magic. And I'd like to read those statistics, the average earnings per runner, because that is so interesting. And I saw that on an advert on Willow Magic, who stands at Bushel Stud for a covering fee of 12,000 Rand. Willow Magic, the average earnings per runner is 86,856. 86,856 are Willow Magic's progeny's average earnings per runner, which is, you know, very good. You look at the horses, the average earnings per horses of the stallions below him, that's quite good going. But the country's got so many good stallions. I'm looking at this list here. There's, you know, Active War, Vercingetrix, VAR, Elusive Fort, Captain of All, Give Me the Green Light. We're really blessed in this country to have some top quality stallions. But I thought I'd share that information about Willow Magic because I thought those stats were quite good. But I must talk to the team about possibly having a breeding section on the show. Let's talk about Sunday, the 5th of September, 2021, Hollywood Bet Scottsville. That's where we're racing. I'll go through the card quickly with you. They're by no means good things. They're by no means horses that I think can't lose. It's just a few horses in each race that I think would be worth following. And the very first race is at 12:30, over 1,200 metres. It's a maiden plate for fillies and mares. And a fairly competitive race. Number 8, Leopard Lady. We interviewed MJ Oudendal this morning for the TV show, the GTV show, and he thought that this filly was the one to beat. I tend to agree with him. I think number 8, Leopard Lady, is the one to beat. I do respect number 1, Regina's Angel, and number 2, Drive By. Maybe those are the 3 horses that you could box in some exactas. The second race is at 1:05, a maiden plate for fillies and mares over 1,200 metres. My first choice is number 9, Casa Rosada. I say my first choice. It's a horse that I believe they all have to beat. Been racing on the poly. She now gets the turf, and she could be the one that proves quite tough to peg back. The third race is a maiden plate for fillies and mares over 1,750 metres. Quite a shallow race, not too much form to go on, but I'm looking for big improvement from number 5, Claudina. I'm expecting number 6, Siege of Orleans, to be right there when the photographers are taking their photos. And number 8, Duquesne's Whistle for MJ Odendaal and Anton Marcus. She's the one that they probably all have to beat. The 4th race is a maiden plate for fillies and mares over 1,400 meters. I'm quite big on number 7, October Song. I think she can go one better, but I am expecting plenty of cheek from number 5, Lucky Miss. 5th race on the card is a maiden plate over 1,400 meters, and number 1, Hasta Manana, is probably going to be odds-on favourite and provides a possible exotic bet banker. Ran 4 lengths off to Good Traveller in a Grade 1 last time, and on that, back in maiden company should be good enough. The 6th race is the 6th race is a panicle. It's not a panicle, it's a pinnacle. Pinnacle Stakes event over 1,100 meters, and the best weighted is Shantyman, who's certainly going to have an undeniable chance. Number 6, Great Shark, is very quick. He could run them off their feet. And number 9, Pray for Rain, beat Spider's Corner comfortably last time and could follow up, but a difficult race. The 7th race is a 72 handicap over 1,000 meters, and for me, 3 horses are good enough. 5, We All Chommies, 6, Hampton Court, and 8, Chief Executive. 7, Sugar and Spice, there have been valid excuses. Throw this one into the back end of your quartets. Number 8, Chief Executive, runs in my colours, or our colours, and the word from the yard is that he's doing very well, and he should run well coming back from a lengthy layoff. Horse number 8, Chief Executive. Number 8 is Chief Executive, but the 8th race is a 78 handicap for fillies and mares over 1,000 meters. Quite a few in with chances, but I'm going to roam with number 5, Magically, for Com Naidu and Muzieni. Very good effort last time, finishing 3rd to Lady Catherine, and Magically could be the one they all have to peg back and could be the one that sets the standard. So that's a quick microwave version of a few of the horses that stick out for me. It's been a glorious show. Lovely to chat to Corinne. Lovely to catch up on the news, and lovely just to talk about breeding. And as I said, I want to get a breeding segment onto this show and see if that would create some interest. Again, to our sponsors, Megatech, to our sponsors, MGT Solar, Alistair Comfort, Eddie Nielsen, and the whole team at MGT Solar, we thank you for your support, and we thank you for your continued interest in us. And just to let everybody know that MGT Solar are a renewable energy company that owns a cryptocurrency which is bedded in an immutable blockchain to raise funding to build solar plants to satisfy the ever-increasing demand for clean, green energy. That's what MGT Solar is all about. Thanks to Corinne for her time, being the guest on our show. Andrew Harrison, you're going to have to do something very special to not get flack for not being here today, but we understand. And from the whole team at Gold Circle, the whole team at the Horses to Follow podcast, we ask you to be safe, punt well, and we'll see you as always in the number 1 box.